Rashi is on the left column of Rashi. Left column of Rashi on 1068, the sixth line from the top. So it says, he brought us to this place, Alamokom Hazeh, Zeh Beis HaMikdash. Vayiten lanu es ha'aretz hazos, and he gave us this land, kimashma'o, exactly what it sounds like. He gave us the land of Israel. Anybody got a problem with that? Anybody got a problem with that? Besides the Goyim, they have a problem with it. Many. Any have a problem with that? Brought us to the base. He brought us here to this place, which is the base of Mikdash, and he gave us this land, which is Eretz Yisrael. What's that? You're close. The order. It's out of order. What happened first? First we got the land, exactly right. First we got the land, and then we built the base of Mikdash. Where did they come to first? They came to the base of Mikdash first, or they came to the land of Israel first? First they came to the land, then they built. So why is the pasuk out of order? Remember, Rashi isn't making things up. Rashi is only quoting the Midrashim or the Gemara. Rashi is just saying what the Gemara tells us, what the oral Torah tells us means.
It's not a storybook. Things are not necessarily in order.
Yeah, but you're right. It's not a storybook, but at the end of the day, if it's not in order, it still have to. There's a rhyme and reason for it. You have to come up with a reason. So there are two ideas over here. One idea is the first Rashi in the Torah, when it says by Bereshis, and Rashi quotes that when the nations of the world are going to claim that we're bandits because we stole this land, then the response is going to be, well, God gave us the land. God created the world. Bereshis bara Elokim. God created the world, and he can give it to whoever he wants. He took it away from them and gave it to us. We're not stealing. We're just doing what God told us to do. That's the first Rashi in the Torah. What's the proof that God gave us the land? What's the ultimate proof that God gave us the land of Israel? Well, we have a base of Mikdash. And in the base of Mikdash, there are all sorts of funny miracles taking place. God wouldn't be making miracles for a bunch of gangsters. No miracles for gangsters. So if we're in the land illegally, even if we would go and build a base of Mikdash, God's not about to go and have all sorts of interesting miracles, which it says in Pirkei Avos, various miracles that took place in the base of Mikdash. These miracles aren't going to take place if we went and took the land illegally. And therefore, when it says that he brought us to this place, which is the base of Mikdash, and then it says he gave us this land, in other words, the base of Mikdash is the proof that he gave us this land. The base of Mikdash is the ultimate proof that God gave us this land. Number one. Number two, there's actually a medrash that says that when the Jewish people did the Korban Pesach in Egypt, we're page 1068, by the way. When the Jewish people did the Korban Pesach in Egypt, remember they first while the firstborns of the Egyptians were being killed, there's a medrash that says the entire nation of the Jewish people were brought to the base of Mikdash in Eretz Yisrael to do the Korban Pesach, and then they were transported back to Egypt to then have the Exodus. There's a Targum Yonasan ben Uzziel who says that there was a medrash that says they were actually brought to the base of Mikdash. If that's true, then what was the order of the events? The order of events is first they got to the base of Mikdash, then they got to the land of Israel. And that's what the medrash says. The medrash says that they actually came to the land of Israel, then they went back to Egypt. Whatever the medrash means. But based on that medrash, then the order of the pasuk makes sense. It could be their souls, it could be, I don't know, whatever it means. Okay, now take a look. And this is one of my. Oh no, we're not there yet. In two ideas. Take a look all the way to the bottom of the page. This is a mind-boggling Or HaChaim HaKadosh. The Or HaChaim says a statement over. They even made a song out of it. We'll see. The Torah says at the bottom. It says on pasuk Yud Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom. V'samachta b'chol hatov, you should rejoice with all of the good. Asher nasan lecha Hashem Elokecha uleveisecha, all the good, the land of Israel and the produce that you're now bringing to the base of Mikdash. You should rejoice with all of the good that Hashem has given you and your household. Ata, you, v'halevi, v'hager asher b'kirbecha, you and the Levi and the convert, because you're going to be providing for them. You should all rejoice with the good that Hashem has given you. So it's interesting. There are certain things in life that, depending on who gives it to you, determines the value. Imagine you go to the President of the United States, he gives you a pen. The President of the United States gave you a pen, an auto pen, I guess. So that the President gives you a pen. That's something, you're not going to use that pen. You're going to put that pen on a shelf, right? You're going to put it, depending on which president, that's true. Right. Depending on the president. For some presidents, you'll take the pen and use it as a back scratcher. But assuming you care about the president, you're wow, this is the pen I got from the president. Even more than that, there are certain things that are truly worthless, and people value them. Number one on the list is getting an autograph from an athlete or a celebrity. You get an autograph for? Are you getting an autograph? So he signed it. What did he do? He proved he could write. I mean, so he got his autograph. That shows I met him. So they had a rabbi here in the office. He's older. He's already nifter, wonderful man. And he had a baseball. He had a baseball in his office that's autographed by the players from the 50s and 40s and 50s. Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams. The whole thing was autographed. That's a pretty impressive baseball. Just turned out that he did it himself. He just wrote their names. Wrote about Tommy Henrik, Joe DiMaggio, Pee Wee Reese. He just autographed it. I thought we know the difference. We know the difference. So I'll tell you, it's interesting. I was a kid. I was a sports fan. So my favorite, my idol growing up was Bobby Hull, the famous hockey player. Bobby Hull, he owned Chicago. I was brokenhearted when he left. And Bobby Hull. So I went to a Chicago Bulls game, and the Bulls were terrible. And at halftime, as a promotion, they had Bobby Hull, the hockey player, signing autographs. So I remember I got in line, a long line of people at halftime waiting to get Bobby Hull. I'm going to actually meet Bobby Hull and get his autograph. And the line's getting closer and closer. And I remember when I got up to Bobby Hull and I looked at him and I smelled his cologne. And it kind of shattered a certain image. Because up until that point, that was Bobby Hull on TV with a hockey uniform. There was a certain image. And all of a sudden, as I get up closer, and especially, I just remember I smelled his cologne, and I just like, oh, it's a human being. Oh, it's just a human. I don't think I ever asked for anybody to get an autograph after that. But if somebody gives you the autograph, if your uncle comes over and gives you an autograph, you're going to toss it in the trash can. But if your favorite baseball player gives you an autograph, that's precious. Who gave this to us? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That means regardless, you should rejoice with all the good that Hashem gave you. How much did He give you? Doesn't matter, because we look at the giver. Who's the giver over here? If it's Hashem who's the giver, then by definition it's valuable. Number one. Number two, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, I'm going to read you the words. And the Orach Chaim says, there's an expression in the Gemara, Ein Tov Ela Torah. When we say Tov, Tov is the Torah. The Torah is the ultimate good is Torah. The Orach Chaim says like this, that this alludes to the idea where the Gemara says in Pirkei Avos, it says, Ve'ein Tov Ela Torah. The Orach Chaim says, this pasuk, when it says you should rejoice with all the good, is alluding to that statement in Pirkei Avos that says, Ve'ein Tov Ela Torah. There's no good other than Torah. She'im hayu, now listen to the words of the Orach Chaim. They made a song out of this. She'im hayu b'nei Adam margishim, if people would feel b'mesikus ve'arevus, the sweetness and the pleasantness, Tov HaTorah, if people would really tap into the sweetness and the pleasantness, the goodness of Torah, hayu mishtagim. Don't you say that in modern Hebrew? Mishtagea. Hu hishtagea. He went crazy. Hayu mishtagim. People would go nuts. Umislati machareh. They become addicted to it. They be drawn after it. V'lo yechashev be'eineyem melo ha'olam. The entire world would lose significance. Kesef v'zav lim'uma would, because it's nothing. Ki ha-Torah kolelas kol ha-Torah sheba'olam. Because the Torah carries within it all of the goodness, all the good in the world. People could taste, if you could really tap into it. So a person has to know how to tap into it. There's only one way to tap into Torah. The only way to tap into Torah is by learning Torah. And by learning Torah and really trying to figure it out. And there's no greater high that a person could achieve than having learned Torah. And did you ever happen to you that you were at a movie or you read a book and it's one of these mysteries and you're just baffled? And then in the last scene or on the last page, everything kind of works out. They tell you he was really a good guy, he was a bad guy, and you're just like, oh, that Snape was really a good guy all along. And you're just like, that feeling of is the feeling you get when you understand the Tosfos. True or not true, Yud? Right? You're baffled. The Gemara is not making any sense. And then you get through a Tosfos like, I was that guy. Every time you come out of one of these movie theaters, one of these really intrigue, spy thrillers, and you come out in the parking lot, there's always two guys. Some guy's got his foot up on a car, and he's explaining it. Oh, you mean he was a good guy? Oh, I thought he was, Right? There's always you always see those people. That was me. I was always the guy who was being explained to. I could never follow, About the deepest movie I could follow was Rocky. For me, that was a deep movie. I had a friend I'd go to a movie with, and within 30 seconds, he'd say, yeah, she's going to get killed. He's a spy. He's a double agent. He had the whole thing worked out. And that's what Torah is, lahavdil. You learn Torah, and you're like, that in that sense, and it puts you in a mood. That's why people make a mistake when it comes to character development. There are two ways to work. Let's say, for example, a person kind of is a uptight person, and maybe gets a little angry and he's impatient with other people. There are two ways to work on that. You can learn Musar. You learn Musar, which discusses how inappropriate it is to get angry, and you can work on. You can do that, and we should do that. Anger is poison, and anger is like worshiping idols, and I really have to control my anger. There's another method where you're in such a good mood that the thing that would normally bother you doesn't even bother you. Imagine you just found out you won $4 million in the lottery. And you're driving home, a friend called you up and he said, by the way, you won $4 million in the lottery. Seriously? 100%. And you get in your car and you start driving and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How much would that bother you? Cut me off. You'd sing the Cut Me Off song. Cut me off. You'd be fine. Why? Wait. On the other hand, if you just had a rough day at the office and somebody cut you off, then what happens? Then you really I'm going to work on myself. Don't get angry. Don't get angry. Don't get angry. You go, don't get angry. Don't get angry. That's what would happen. Why? Because your entire mood affects how things affect you. A person who's learning Torah is so upbeat that all the trivialities that bother people don't bother you. That's the best way to work on a person's midos is by learning Torah. Because the Torah changes. I just won the lottery. What am I getting upset? Because a guy cut me in line.
Torah specific to that midah or just Torah in general?
Torah in general. Any Torah. Baba Kama helps your anger. Cows goring oxes help your anger. Oxes goring cows with pregnant oxes or pregnant cows or whatever it is, that helps your anger. Because you walk away content and fulfilled. When you're content and fulfilled, things don't bother you. It doesn't mean nothing ever bothers you. It doesn't mean you become a perfect person overnight. But it's giving you a booster. It's giving you that booster. That's what the Orach Chaim is talking about. All the good is in Torah. You have people who spend their whole life accumulating money. They say, oh, he's very successful. I don't know. He's successful in accumulating money. It doesn't mean that he's a happier person, and it doesn't mean that he's a nice person. It doesn't mean anything other than he accumulated money, legally or otherwise. And the high that a person gets, imagine a person who's drunk or a person who's done ecstasy. They're in a great mood. Everything's fine. Everything's wonderful. Everything's terrific. Problem is, it wears off. Torah doesn't have to wear off. Torah doesn't have to wear off. That's the rejoice with all of the good. Now, continue. 2 more psukim. This is the one I wanted to get to. This is extremely important for us. When you finish tithing, Shnas HaMaser, V'nasata la'levi la'yager la'yasam la'amanu v'ochlu v'yishrech v'saveu. And then you should provide it for all the poor people. Various categories. Third line from the top. V'amarta lifnei Hashem Elokecha. Then you make a declaration. Third line from the top on page 1070. Biarti hakodesh min habayis. I have removed the holy, meaning the produce which has got status that it has to be given away. I've removed it from the house. V'gam nasati v'lalevi v'lager la'yosel v'amana kechol mitzvascha asher tzivisani. Like all your commands, I've done what you've told me. Lo avarti mi mitzvasecha. I didn't transgress. V'lo shachachti. I didn't forget. Now the plain meaning here is, I didn't intentionally neglect it. I didn't forget to do it. Right? That's what the plain meaning of the pasuk is. I took the produce that you have to give away. And by the way, it comes out to about giving away to the Levi and the Kohen, the Truma, the Meiser, and the Bikur. At the end of the day, it comes out to about 25-30%. They're going to be giving away. So there's a test. And he makes a declaration, I did it, and I didn't transgress, and I didn't forget. So one of the Hasidic masters, the Tzfas Emes, he says, what does that mean? I did your mitzvah and I didn't forget. The Tzfas Emes says, and the reason I bring this up because I see it is so common that people fall into this trap. I did your mitzvahs and I didn't forget. What didn't you forget? You didn't forget why you're doing the mitzvah. You didn't forget why you're doing the mitzvah. The classic example was a guy who's told by the rabbi you can't fast on Yom Kippur. Yeah, somebody's not well, and goes to the Rav, and the posek says to him, you can't fast on Yom Kippur. How's a person going to react to that? How's a person going to react? I can't fast on Yom Kippur? But I've always fasted on Yom Kippur. There have been elderly people who people are afraid to tell them you can't fast. Of course I'm going to fast on Yom Kippur. You can't fast. You're not well. You can't fast on Yom Kippur. You know what the reaction should be? And by the way, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky had a man in his community who was told by the doctors not to fast on Yom Kippur, an elderly man. He fasted and he died. And Rabbi Kamenetsky refused to eulogize him. Said he's responsible for his own death. He was told not to fast. Why are you fasting? Are you fasting because you have to fast on Yom Kippur? Or you're fasting because Hashem said you're supposed to fast on Yom Kippur? So the same Hashem that said you're supposed to fast on Yom Kippur, this Yom Kippur Hashem said you could eat. You could do a mitzvah by eating on Yom Kippur. You'll be doing just as much of a mitzvah. Because Hashem said you're supposed to eat on Yom Kippur. Because the Torah says you have to take care of your health and not allow yourself to be put in a life-threatening situation. You're not allowed to kill yourself. So a person, why are you doing it? I'll tell you the example that I always use is there was a movie, one of the classic all-time movies was called The Bridge Over the River Kwai. Did you ever hear that movie? Did you ever see that movie? The Bridge Over the River Kwai. A classic, but you saw that?
No, but I've seen some comedy skit.
No. It's an absolutely phenomenal, brilliant movie. There's not one woman in the movie either. What it is the Allies, the Americans and the English are captured by the Japanese. And they have to build a strategic bridge over the Ridge River in World War II. The lead character is the British colonel. And he's put in charge of getting this bridge built and having all the Allied prisoners of war build the bridge. And he gets so into building the bridge, he's pushing his men to build it quickly and build it efficiently, and he forgets that there's a bigger picture here. There's a war going on. You're helping the enemy to build a strategic bridge. And if you're doing it, the way you should be doing it is the way Arabs build in Israel. That's really how you should be doing it, by sabotaging it and taking your sweet old time and stuffing the pipes with rocks and shoes and everything else. And you should be sabotaging it. And he's into building and he's pushing his men, and they're looking like, what happened to you? And that often happens in Yiddishkeit, where a person has forgotten, and fasting on Yom Kippur is your tunnel vision. You forgot the big picture. Why am I doing it? It's the guy who elbows you or pushes you out of the way while trying to kiss the Sefer Torah. He gives you a good shot, a good hip check on his way to get to the Sefer Torah. Why are you pushing me? Because you need to kiss the Torah. You don't need to kiss the Torah, but you don't need to push me. So you won't kiss the Torah. Guess what will happen? Nothing. You'll be fine. You'll make it. But you forgot why you're trying to kiss the Torah. You're trying to kiss the Torah to show allegiance to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if you pushed me out of the way, you did the opposite. Or a guy invites a guest for Shabbos. I've seen this happen. You invite a guest for Shabbos. He says, no, okay. Oh, come on. And you start pressuring him, and you turn unpleasant. I want to fulfill the mitzvah of bringing in a guest. And you turn unpleasant about it. Why do you want the guest? You want the guest for yourself? You want the guest because... So if you want to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then it's serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu by not forcing this guy to come. You understand? Therefore, it's, I did your mitzvah, I fulfilled your mitzvah, v'lo shachachti, I didn't forget why I'm doing the mitzvah. I'm not doing the mitzvah because the mitzvah doesn't exist in a vacuum. The mitzvah is a way of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if you realize that, you realize the mitzvah is a way of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so then you have no problem eating on Yom Kippur if you're supposed to eat. You have no problem if your guest turns you down, and you have no problem not kissing the Sefer Torah. Because you realize what the service, that the ultimate purpose is here. That's the idea. Okay, now, take a look at Pasuk, which Pasuk is it? Pasuk Tes, where am I here? Where is it? Oh, okay, here we go. Pasuk Yud Daled. Pasuk Yud Daled. So Rashi, I'm going to read the Pasuk 1 second. I just want to find the... Okay, now Pasuk Yud Daled, sorry. Okay, now I'm going to tell you something remarkable. Again, in Pasuk 15. Hashkifa mima'onka jechami neshamayim, says a prayer to Hashem, look down from your holy abode. Uvarecha samcha es Yisrael, bless your people Yisrael, referring to having children. Ves Adam asher nasat lanu, kan asher yishvat lavseinu, eretz zavas cholav udvash, a land that flows with milk and honey. So it mentions that twice. Earlier in Pasuk Yud it said, he brought us to the land that flows with milk and honey. Okay, the idea of milk and honey, the honey is honey that comes from usually date honey, and milk is milk that comes from the cows. In other words, it's going to be a rich, fertile land. And we're going to have a lot of produce and a lot of cattle, everything, all the good things. Rabbi Meir Shapiro from the Daf Yomi. You've heard of the Rabbi Meir Shapiro of the Daf Yomi. So Rabbi Shapiro takes this completely out of context, but makes an interesting point with it. There are two types of milks. There is cow's milk, and there's mother's milk. Okay? There's two types of honey. I mean, other animals also have milk. Yeah.
Not 2026 where they milk everything possible.
No. This is just two examples here. There's two types of honey. There's fruit honey, usually comes from dates. Sometimes figs, the Gemara refers to fig honey. There's also bee honey. There's a common denominator. Now, the plain meaning of the pasuk clearly is eretz zavas cholav uvash, standard milk, cow milk, which we consume, and fruit honey, which we also consume. That's the plain meaning. The Gemara makes the following statement. Where does a woman who gives birth, where does her milk come from? Where does she have milk in order to nurse the child? Says the Gemara, the words of the Gemara are, the blood that she normally experiences during her cycle, the blood turns into milk. Those are the words of the Gemara. Now you guys have learned enough Gemara to know that if it doesn't mean can't mean what it says, then it's obviously trying to communicate an idea. And what the Gemara means is that the system of the blood shuts down and the milk producing system kicks in. That's what the Gemara means, obviously. The blood doesn't literally become milk, okay? But the words of the Gemara are that the blood turns into milk. That's how the Gemara communicates it, okay? If you think about it, blood is a forbidden substance. Milk is a permissible substance. In our terms, the way the Gemara puts it, a permissible substance is actually coming from where? A forbidden substance. The same thing with honey. Bees produce honey. Bees are forbidden to eat. The honey they produce is permissible. So that a permissible substance is coming from a forbidden substance. So we now have an example, taken out of context slightly, of two permissible substances coming from forbidden substances, milk and honey. Says Reb Meir Shapiro of Lublin, Eretz Yisrael is called the land of milk and honey, because there are many people who come to Eretz Yisrael and they experience a change in their life where they were in a stage of something, call it forbidden, and somehow they've made a life change and they've become something permissible. That means they've gone from a state of lack of religious commitment and they've gone to a state of religious commitment, meaning Eretz Yisrael carries within it some sort of energy that helps people to make that change. It's not enough, and obviously not everybody in Israel has made that change, but a person who comes to Eretz Yisrael often feels some sort of spiritual awakening. Isn't that true? And he says that's what the pasuk is alluding to. Eretz zavas cholav udvash, the same way that milk and honey somehow times start off in the wrong zone and end up in the correct zone. You have people who often come to Eretz Yisrael in the wrong zone, and somehow a change takes over and they end up in the right zone. That's what Rameir Shapiro says. Okay, we have to stop early today because there's a talk in the base medrash.
What are we going to call this?
Yeah, I had an